What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, September 22nd, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:14 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming from Crimea. So, apparently, Ukraine destroyed the Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters earlier this morning with some type of cruise missiles, most likely the British Storm Shadow missiles. And what you're looking at here is video footage that was released from TASS, which is the Russian government funded news outlet. And here you can see this building that's smoking, and there's a huge hole in the roof. And so that's where the cruise missile or cruise missiles hit. And Russian sources are saying that 10 people were eliminated. Okay, you know what I mean by eliminated? I can't use the word that starts with K here. Okay, they were eliminated. Okay, 10 Russians were eliminated. This is coming from Russian sources, okay? And that apparently the strike occurred during a meeting of high ranking officers of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Okay, and again, this is coming from Russian sources. Okay, so if Russia is saying that, okay, we know for sure that it happened. Okay, I'm not quoting Ukrainian sources here. These are Russian sources saying that 10 people were eliminated in the strike and that the strike occurred during a meeting of high ranking officers of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. And it's very possible that these high ranking officers were eliminated. Okay, so this is absolutely huge news, guys. Okay, we know that the Russian Black Sea Fleet is the apple in Putin's eye, and Crimea is the apple in Putin's eye. That was a huge victory for Putin in 2014, 2015, when Russia conquered Crimea. That was a huge boost in his popularity in Russia. So we'll have to wait and see how he responds to that. But this is absolutely crazy, guys. Okay. And this literally happened a day after Zelensky met with Biden. So it was almost like a gift to Putin from Zelensky while Zelensky was in the U.S. I think it was probably timed that way on purpose. We do know that Russia targeted Ukraine yesterday while Zelensky was meeting with Biden. So I don't know if this was a retaliatory action for that, or if this was planned, weeks in advance. It's hard to say, but some interesting information about this attack is that an advisor to the governor of Crimea reported that there was an unprecedented cyber attack in Crimea that took place right before the strike. And he said that there were interruptions in the internet across the entire peninsula. Okay, so there was a massive cyber attack on all of Crimea right before this strike, and basically the entire internet went down. And Russian sources are now claiming that an RQ-4 Global Hawk and P-8 Poseidon that were airborne during the time of the strike provided precise targeting information for the Ukrainians, and thus this makes the U.S. culpable for the attack. Okay, and if you guys remember, in my update late last night, maybe half of you guys didn't watch it yet because I uploaded it like basically right around midnight, actually right at midnight. So a lot of you guys probably didn't see it, but there was an RQ-4 Global Hawk airborne last night, and I remember thinking that that was a little bit strange. And then there was also a massive amount of emergency action messages yesterday. There were like 36 that I counted, which is high. Okay. We also have some breaking news that also a local power plant in Sevastopol was hit, okay, with missiles and destroyed. Okay, so it seems like Ukraine wanted to take out the power to Sevastopol, take out the internet, and then hit the Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters. So they were probably preparing this for a while. My guess is that, remember how they took out those S-400s? I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I reported that Ukraine was able to destroy an S-400 air defense battery in Crimea near Sevastopol. They used naval or air drones to destroy the radar systems. They used like small drones that attacked the radars. And then after the radars were attacked, they hit the launchers with cruise missiles. So this could be why they took out that S-400 system, because they were planning to do this. So this is a huge, huge move. Okay, absolutely huge. Okay, this is just as big, if not bigger, than 2 weeks ago when Ukraine destroyed the Kilo class submarine and they destroyed the Rapucha class warship. Okay, so Ukraine is making huge moves, and they're using Western equipment to do it. So we'll have to see if this escalates into anything. What's interesting is this morning, right after the news broke of this attack, we had Russian doomsday planes in the air. There were two Russian doomsday planes in the air. The Tupolev 214SR, there were two of those in the air. There was also one of Putin's presidential planes in the air, the 214PU. And then there was also an airborne communications relay plane, an Ilyushin 96-300, in the air as well. Okay, so I don't know if they evacuated Putin from Moscow, but there were several doomsday planes in Russia in the air not too long ago. And here we have an E6 Mercury in the air right now over California. Okay, this is a nuclear war command and control plane, and these planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs in the event that ground based command and control gets wiped out. They can also communicate with our submerged nuclear armed submarines. So there's one of those in the air. And then here's that RQ-4 Global Hawk that was in the air last night. Okay, and I talked about this in my update late last night, and I mentioned all the emergency action messages. Well, now we know why. Okay, and again, there's a lot of nasty people out there that complain that I use red alert too much or I use emergency alert too much. This is why. Okay, when I report something, I'm not doing it to scare people or to get clicks. Okay, this is solid information. Okay, I would not try to scare people on purpose. That's just not how I was raised. If I have solid information and I feel like something could be happening, I'm going to report it to you guys, okay? And then it's up to you to figure out, what to do and so on and so forth. But there's always a reason behind my red alerts, okay? And last night I did a red alert that we had a lot of emergency action messages, 36 of them. Those are nuclear attack options that the Pentagon sends out to our submerged nuclear armed submarines. Anytime there's like more than 20, it's considered elevated, and it means that something could be happening. Now we know why. Okay. And I saw some comments, people saying that, oh, these messages go out every day. Yeah, they do, but not in high amounts. Okay. So, the situation is escalating in Ukraine, and we're marching towards nuclear war. Okay. So please make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Think about where you would go to protect yourself from fallout radiation. There's three things you need to know to protect yourself from fallout, okay? Distance, time, and shielding. Those are the only three things that can protect you from radiation, okay? Distance via the inverse square law, okay? So you have to put distance between yourself and the radiation source, which after a nuclear war, the radiation source is going to be the fallout, and it's going to rain down from the sky and they're going to look like sand particles. So they're heavy. It's not going to be like dust floating around unless you're close to the actual blast. Then you might have radioactive dust in the air. But if you're like 100 miles away, you're going to have this radioactive sand raining down on your home, and it's going to settle. Just like if you were pouring sand from the sky, imagine where it would settle. Okay, it's going to settle in gutters. It's going to settle in drainage ditches. Okay, any area that collects things. Okay, like ditches, depressions is going to collect more fallout, and there's going to be more radiation from that. Okay, but the fallout is going to settle on your roof. It's going to settle on the ground. So those are going to be your primary sources of radiation that you need to move away from. Okay, so you want to get away from the outside of your home where the fallout is going to be landing, and you want to be away from your roof because the radiation is going to come through your roof. Okay, so you want to be ideally, if you don't have a basement, you want to be on the ground floor of your home and in the middle, okay, in the center of your home on the ground floor. And you want to build some kind of improvised shelter around you for extra shielding, because the wood walls of a home, even brick, it's not going to reduce radiation a whole lot. The best case scenario is if you have a basement, you can get into your basement. And even if you do nothing, you just go into your basement, bring food and water for 2 weeks, and some trash bags for your waste. Even if you just do that and you stay in your basement, you could reduce the radiation by at least 50%, if not 75% or more, just by going into your basement, depending on, how deep your basement is, how close you are to the blast area and the fallout contour. Okay. But you also have time. Okay, radiation breaks down via the 7-10 rule. So for every factor of 7 in time, the radiation breaks down by a factor of 10. So after 7 hours from the fallout settling down, then you're going to reduce the radiation by a factor of 10. So it's going to be 10 times less after 7 hours of the fallout landing. Then after another factor of 7, so 49 hours, that's 2 days, the fallout is going to go down by 100, okay, 100 times less. And then another factor of 7 would be 2 weeks, and it would be 1,000 times less. So that's why it's very important that you shelter yourself the first 48 hours, because that's when the radiation is going to be extremely high. Okay, and all it takes is for you to go outside for max 30 minutes, and you're going to get a fatal dose of radiation, and you're going to suffer a slow and painful death as your body literally rots. Okay, you get necrosis all over your body, and it's a bad thing. So and then the other thing is shielding. You need to have dense material between yourself and the radiation to protect yourself. I'm going to leave a link in the top right corner to my How to Survive Nuclear War series. And also, if you go to my website, you click on references, okay? On the top of the website, you'll see a bunch of tabs. Click references, and I have a bunch of information on nuclear war survival, including halving thicknesses of common materials, okay? And you're going to need to know that. Ideally, you want to have at least 2 or 3 halving thicknesses if you have no other shelter. Like if you're just, in your house and you have a wood frame house, you don't have a basement, you're going to want to have at least 2 halving thicknesses, or ideally 3, in order to get adequate protection. Okay, especially if you're in a heavy fallout contour. And if you're in a basement, you may only need 1 halving thickness, because going down into the basement is going to reduce radiation by at least 50%. Okay. So check out my website, check out those videos, and just want to continue with some more breaking news. So we had another nuclear war command and control plane in the air last night. Okay, this was late last night around midnight Eastern time, and it was doing these loops right off the continental shelf near the Hudson Canyon off the coast of Long Island. This is a great fishing spot, believe it or not. There's a very high population of tuna here, and a lot of deep sea fishermen go out here and they catch massive tuna right where this continental shelf is. And, this plane was just doing these loops here, communicating with our nuclear armed submarines right around the time when that strike occurred or just before. We also have some major breaking news. This is not confirmed yet. Okay, this is coming from NBC News. Apparently, Biden informed Zelensky that the U.S. will send a small number of long range ATACMS missiles to Ukraine. And reportedly, they're only going to be equipped with cluster warheads. Okay, so the reason why they would only give them cluster warheads is they don't want them to use those missiles to destroy things like the Crimean Bridge or other infrastructure, deep behind enemy lines, potentially in Russian territory. So cluster warheads, they don't have the same explosive power as like a single warhead. They're designed for taking out personnel. Okay, that's what their main purpose is. Okay, if there's like a trench line and you have soldiers behind the trench, you can shoot the cluster munitions where those soldiers are, and it's going to take them out in a wide area. Okay, they can hit a wide area with those cluster warheads, but they don't have that same explosive power as a single warhead, which the ATACMS, that's what it was designed for. Actually, it was designed to basically function as like a short range ballistic missile. Um, but this is all unconfirmed. Okay, it's not 100% yet about the cluster warheads or even the ATACMS. All right. We also have some breaking news coming from Bloomberg that apparently next month in October, the European Commission is going to recommend starting negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU. And apparently, Ukraine is going to have to do major reforms to bring Ukraine up to EU standards. And it could take up to 10 years or more, and that there's no option to accelerate the process. Okay, so that's a pretty crappy deal for Ukraine that they have to wait 10 years to get EU membership. But that's the word on the street. That's the rumor. It's not 100% confirmed. This is coming from Bloomberg, though. So Bloomberg is a credible source. Okay, so next month the EU is going to start talking about bringing Ukraine in, and they're going to have to do reforms, and it might take 10 years. Okay, so it's a little bit suspicious that it would take 10 years. Like, it almost seems like they're planning on this war to last so long, and that's why they're dragging out that membership so long, because they expect the war to last many, many years. We also have some breaking news coming out of Azerbaijan, Armenia area. So apparently, information has came out that another Russian military personnel vehicle was ambushed in Nagorno-Karabakh, and as a result, one Russian peacekeeper was eliminated. Okay, and again, you know what I mean by eliminated. So this is pretty interesting, and we don't know if it was Azerbaijan that did it, or was it the Armenians. The last situation occurred because of the Azerbaijanis. They fired on this vehicle, and there was actually a deputy commander of the Russian Northern Fleet in that vehicle that the Azerbaijani troops opened fire on. So it's a little bit suspicious. I don't think it was accidental, okay, because those vehicles are labeled. They have huge markings that say peacekeepers, okay? So it's not like, the Azerbaijani troops are blind. They would have seen it. Okay, so it's a little bit suspicious, and now another one. So, anyway, guys, that's the latest information that I have. Tomorrow is 9/23/23, so be on the lookout for something potentially happening tomorrow, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. But today, I mean, huge event with Ukraine striking the Black Sea Fleet headquarters. Maybe that is the 9/23/23 event, and it could kick off some kind of massive retaliation by Russia. I showed you guys all these doomsday planes that left Moscow earlier this morning. So I'm sure Putin is planning something. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.